Good evening, everybody. I love that jingle. Hello, everyone. Welcome along. It is Monday night, and once again, we are live across YouTube, across Facebook, and across Twitter. It's the Suffolk Non-League Show. I'm James. Here's Adam. Good evening, sir.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah,
very good. How are you, James?
Yeah, can't complain, mate. Can't complain. It's been a bit of a tough day. Bit of a tough day at work, but I'm doing fine. How are all of you lot doing at home? How is everybody getting on at the moment? Obviously, I know. Obviously, we're all in difficult time. We're all in. It's obviously very tough for everyone involved. But how has your first week been back at work? What are you up to at the moment? Let us know down in the comment section as we go through the show, and you bring your hellos all into the chat. Let us know how you're doing, because we genuinely want to hear how everyone is getting on at the moment. And if you need any support, then just let us know. But we've got an action-packed show for you tonight. Once again, as you can see, we have made various improvements to the studio, which I'm
all looks different, James.
Everything looks absolutely superb. I've got a new green screen, as has Adam. We've got new lights, we've got new cameras, and everything looks all great. What happens the moment that everything goes professional? I get a great big bloody shiner on my nose. But there we go. That's just YouTube. That's just YouTube. That's how life goes at the moment. But before we get too far into the show tonight, just a very quick word from our sponsors.
A massive thank you to all of our sponsors on the Suffolk Non-League Show: Starling and Lock, Matchday Marketing, GBS, Your Shirts, and Clabber Creative. GBS are a family-run construction company in Ipswich, operating nationwide with over 30 years' experience, offering fire protection, diamond drilling, commercial building, health and safety, and asbestos removal. Starling and Lock, self-employed electrician in the Stowmarket and Suffolk area since 1989, offering domestic work and certificates for people buying and selling houses. An NIC/EIC member. Matchday Marketing, sports marketing and branding company, helping enhance the image and profile of grassroots and non-league clubs at a very low cost, utilising over 20 plus years in the game. Your Shirts, eye-catching, professional-looking garments for your business, team, club or organisation, with a range of printing methods to cover all individual needs. Clabber Creative is a creative agency based in Framlingham, Suffolk, offering fully managed football club websites. They are about giving your club a professional image and the ongoing support to maintain it. Links for all of these companies will be in the description below. Go and check them out and tell them that D-Jam has sent you.
So just a very quick word as well, just to say a massive thank you to all of our partner clubs. If you want to become a partner club and be featured on the show, just like these teams have done on the screen here, make sure you hit up Adam on Twitter and he can get you added to the list. Good news from our part is that we've had 2 new Patreon members since the last show, which is absolutely incredible. Shem and Stephen Boyle have got on board with the Patreon, which is absolutely amazing. Really do appreciate that. If you want to become a Patreon member, which is a monthly amount that you put towards the channel, it starts from £1 and goes all the way up to, I believe, £50 is the maximum. You can set the limit however much you want. If you want to make regular donations towards the show, keep the quality of the content improving on a regular basis, the Patreon link is in the description below. And as I said, massive thank you to Shem and to Stephen for joining all of our Patreon members. Also, just a massive thank you to all of our Ko-fi one-off donations as well. All of you guys who have become part of the show. It's an absolutely incredible gesture what you guys have done. If you want to do a one-off payment to help towards the running costs of the show, just like these guys have done on the screen here, I believe we've had 2 new Ko-fi donations in the past week, which is from Paul and from Will. So massive thank you to all of those guys for continuing to continue to help the show grow. The Ko-fi link again is being posted into the chat. So if you want to get involved in that as well, that would be massively appreciated. Let's get a few of your hello messages up on the screen here before we jump too far into the show. So we've got Ben Moore is in the building. Hi lads. Hi Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Matchday Marketing, evening all. Evening mate. Hope you're doing all right. Dean is here. Good evening all. Good evening. Shem, obviously, thank you very much for your Patreon donations. They really do mean a lot, mate. Evening all. Hope you're okay. Yeah, I've had a tough day. It's been very, very difficult at work today, but my focus and my drive was this show. And it's unbelievable how much this, just knowing that I was going to be doing this tonight, got me through today. It was really, really tough, but I'm here. I'm well. I'm good to go. Glenn is here as well. Evening, gents. Evening, Glenn. Hope you're all right. Alex, evening, by the way. Yes, evening, Alex. Hope you're doing all right. Sean Tolman's
Good work
in the
on
building.
your show, Alex, as well. I can see that's taking off and going well as well.
Yes, and I believe he has a YouTube channel coming out as well.
Yeah, he's got a YouTube channel just starting up. And I know Alex is sort of focusing on SIL stuff and getting a few guests on. So
Definitely.
He's also done a podcast with his missus as well, which I'm going to give a shout out to because I listened into that and that was quite funny.
Oh, I'd have to give it a look afterwards. Jordan is here. Evening, Jordan. Hope you're all right. Ben, doing all right. A little bit hurt, not coaching like many others in the chat. Shame that Ipswich is still with Lambert, but who will get in to replace him? Do you know what? I'm going to talk about Ipswich at the end.
Yeah, we will. We will mention Ipswich. I've got some bits to say about that tonight as well.
There you go. I will talk about Ipswich at the end. And I know a lot of people going, oh, here comes a Norwich fan giving his opinion. But I like to think I'm actually quite level-headed about this sort of thing. And I won't just jump in on the banter bandwagon. So if you want to hear my thoughts on Ipswich and Adams, wait till the end of the show and we'll reveal all. Sidekicks for Sports, good evening all. Hope you're well. We are doing well, mate. And a massive thank you to your help for getting the green screens all sorted. Could not have done it without you. So massive thank you, mate. Get the Cowley brothers in for town job. Well, there you go. There's the problem all sorted. Don't need to talk about Ipswich at the end, do we? Stephen, I'm just giving you Matt Blake's goal bonus. Absolutely superb. Absolutely superb. Anytime, gents. Plus, I was dosed up when I did it. Oh, nice. Cheers. Great channel, so worth it. So that's the key, really. Get all of our viewers dosed up on painkillers, and then the donations will just come flying in. There's the key.
I'm not sure how we regulate that, but it sounds like a plan.
There you go. Just need to find somebody within the NHS who doesn't mind sort of doing that sort of thing. Jamie Sandlands is here. Hi, mate. Hope you're doing all right. Mark Watts, have a great one, guys. Happy 21st. Yes, it's the 21st birthday today. That's incredible. I can't believe it. 21 episodes we've been doing this, mate.
5 more, and we've been doing this 6 months solid.
Wow.
Haven't missed one, have we?
No, we haven't. Even over Christmas and New Year, we haven't missed any. Even when there's been no football, like others who have just binned it off, we've still been here, which is very impressive. I love that. Loving the new look, gents. Yeah, it's great. We're really, really enjoying it. Ben's here. Evening. Freya's in the building. Hi, Freya. I don't think I've seen Freya in the chat before. Evening,
Not in the chat.
I hope you're doing all right. Joel's here. Evening, both. Joel, how did Colchester get on this weekend? I'd like to know. I can't actually remember. Maybe Adam will know. You done this. They
didn't play.
Did they not?
No, it was against Salford, and that was the frozen pitch one.
Oh well, there you go. At least you didn't lose, eh? Alex, evening, gents. Evening, mate. Hope you're all right. Stuart Spreadbridge is here. Evening, all. Cheers, chaps. Loving the shout out and the new look. It's looking good. Weird seeing that background. Yeah, well, we thought we'd try something different. I mean, if people want the feather back, if you want the feather as the background back, we can make it happen. However, I think this looks a bit more professional than
for a giant duck feather that will impose behind you if we do that.
It's so funny that town fans want a couple of PE teachers. How the mighty have fallen. Well, again, Joel, I know your allegiances do not lie with Ipswich Town, but again, we'll talk about that more towards the end. The missus said thanks, and she may like me enough to do another one. Well, there you go. Postponed. Urban's in the building. Evening. I hope you're all right. Mate. Obviously, I messaged you after the show just to double check that you were okay, but I hope you're getting better and that the symptoms are kind of wearing off now. Still unbeaten in 2021. Absolutely love that. Free the feather. # free the feather. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you everyone who's come on board tonight. I hope that this tonight can just be a little bit of a light relief from everything that's going on now. But this is what the show is going to be moving forward now. Obviously, there's no results to talk about. There's no actual football to talk about from a non-league perspective. So from now on, It's just going to be a light-hearted relief from the stresses and strains of the world. And this is where you guys can come to relax, chat to us, and leave your thoughts about everything that's going on in the world. So the more of you that get involved in the comment section tonight, the better. And that is what we want. That is what we want from you guys. Also, we do. We'll talk more about everything else as we kind of go on with the show. But reminder: if you're on Twitter, give the video a retweet just so it kind of gets onto everyone's timelines. If you're on Facebook, share it. YouTube, subscribe. The subscriber count has just been absolutely climbing at the moment. Really, really has. Dean Cooper, light as a feather, brilliant. And Ben Moore. I've never said I wanted them. I'd prefer Holloway. Oh no, you do not want Ian Holloway as your manager. Jesus Christ! Oh, give it to someone like Dyer who cares
We've got
about
a big old segue here, haven't we? Coming up, we're turning into Ipswich podcast here.
I really did not think that this was going to be coming an Ipswich Town podcast. That's the last thing I thought this show would be, but there we go. So, Adam, you wanted to start off tonight by talking about the professional game very, very briefly, and some of the scenes that we talked and saw about on the weekend. So, kick things off with us, mate. What is it that you want to? What's your gripe? What's really kind of got your goat? Because I know you've got something you want to get off your chest.
Well, I've got a couple. I'm going to start with the one I haven't told you about because I think that we can all resonate with this in the chat. I would love to see what they have to say about it.
Here we go.
The BBC commentary in regards to Marine playing.
Oh,
and Chorley.
Utter disrespect. Utter disrespect.
When will we actually have some equality for the fact that everyone's just footballers plying their trade rather than worrying about the fact if they're a plumber at the weekend? No one cares. That isn't relevant commentary. Like, I think at one point they said, "Oh, Marine will feel that they're fortunate to be refereed by whatever his face was." Like, no,
it's just not right.
So much disrespect. I was really disappointed in the BBC in that, and like they'd got my back up the day before, where their headline for the Chorley game was not about the match, but about the manager being a head teacher.
Yeah,
who cares?
Yeah,
like if you're going to dedicate this section of your website to sport, can we talk about sport, not the fact that he's a head teacher in his free time? Because anyone with an ounce of common sense realizes that players from that far away, that's not their job. And obviously there's the whole talk about Gareth Bale coming on the pitch, which was absolutely hilarious in one breath, really, that they did that. And the fact that we then roped in the fact that their wage budget was £1,750 a week. Why do we need to make these shock headlines up? Why can't we just talk about the statistics behind the game?
It's non-league bingo, isn't it? It's non-league bingo every time these games come on. It's the right back's a postman, the left back's a plumber. He doesn't make this much. Oh, he was part of this academy, and look how far he's fallen.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Small crowds. Oh, look, let's get the traditional camera shot of somebody watching the game in a tree. Oh, it's just every single FA Cup game. It's just, I have to admit, before I started watching and really sort of covering non-league football, I didn't really notice it that much. But when you're in it, you do notice the utter disrespect.
So
condescending, isn't it? Half the time.
But I feel like those matches are the perfect opportunity for non-league to get its big stage moment and for people to fall in love with it a bit.
Yeah.
But the commentary and the coverage does nothing to make people fall in love with it. If anything, it just makes it a laughing stock. And that really angers me.
Yeah. What do you make of Dean comments here? The thing that annoyed me was seeing the 1,000 fans all bundled together watching the Spurs bus arrive.
That's point two, Dean. That is.
Sorry?
That is point two. Well, what has the weekend has not been good, has it, for social media and for football at all?
So what do you mean by this? What exactly is it that? I mean, this part in particular quite annoyed me because the police were just allowing it to happen, and yet you saw. I think there was another video circulating on Sunday where, was it a lady who was on a park bench with her dad got arrested and talked to by the police?
Yeah,
they were outside on a bench, and yet thousands of football fans are allowed to gather outside a game. Now, I don't want that to become into a bit of a rant, but the contrast, you can't. Why are the police allowing one thing to happen and stopping another?
Well, I said today, football is on thin ice.
Probably.
I'm over here. Am I still on?
Yeah. I've still got you.
Yeah.
I've still got you.
Yeah. No, as has been said today, football is on thin ice, and as Dan has just put in the comments, the professional game isn't really being run overly professionally. Let's just put to one side. I'll come back to your point in a minute, Dean. But it comes back to this thing we spoke about a lot of episodes ago, where we're under like some new strain of a virus, where we're all being told to do one thing and another to try and sort ourselves out, and we're back to pictures of people cuddling each other in changing rooms. It's not gonna. People that don't follow football won't stand for it, and people that do follow football will probably still raise an eyebrow to it. Like, I mean, despite support bubbles.
I kind of get it. I didn't particularly mind the changing room, because obviously they would have had to have been tested, and they've all had negative tests, right?
Yeah, but I think it's the whole thing of people being shown to go against the behaviours that we're told that we have to follow is the bit that we're going to struggle with, and that's the bit that's going to put football on thin ice, which is what's come out today. You've only got to look at what's happened with Celtic today, which some people will see as being a little bit funny in a way, because Nicola Sturgeon has seen holiday pictures of them going to Dubai for what was meant to be a training camp, noticed that in Dubai that they weren't following protocol, and publicly shamed them for it. Dubai is now on some list of countries where you have to isolate for, and tonight they're without 15 people from the squad. Like, I think the game is close to having things put down. You know, they put down the protocols to make sure the game could be run in a safe way. As long as they're stuck to, that's fine. But how many times can you get away with flouting them publicly before people say, do you know what, it's not the right thing to do?
Enough's enough. Yeah.
For
definitely.
Some people, professional football, like, that's keeping them going at the minute. So it'd be a massive shame if we lose it.
Yeah.
I think it will also be a huge sign of things to come if we're already questioning professional football.
Definitely.
When we go on to this sign of the Tottenham bus arriving through wherever it was, where it turned up, and all those people on the streets, like, the police weren't going to, like, I saw 2 police officers. There was probably more out there. Action probably did need to be taken, to be honest, but how do you disperse a crowd like that?
Well, that's what Adam says here. Police are not going to upset a large crowd of supporters and risk a large bust-up. Easy prey, the lady and her dad.
Yeah.
It's very true. It's very true.
How silly are these people, though, to think that's a good idea? Like, with everything that's going on in the world at the moment, at what point do you think I'm going to the high street to watch some people drive through on their bus? Why is that? That's not even exciting. I know we've had a really boring year, but watching a bus drive past that might have Gareth Bale on it is low. Like that. There's a lot more exciting things that you can do in a lockdown than try and do that. Watch people go past on a bus.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get a few of your comments up on the screen. Ben has said, "Football is football. I'm a college student. I hardly think if I ever made it to the East Anglian Daily Times or Ely Standard, they would say Ben Moore, Cambridge Regional College student. I don't think people care. It's football." Sidekicks for Sports said they don't mention how Marine had played 10 games prior to the Spurs match. Very true. Yep. Very, very true on there. Apparently, they're setting off fireworks at Stockport tonight. I reckon they've finally got the internet there now. Oh, gosh. Stephen Boyle, clubs just don't help themselves sticking things on social media. That's been your biggest gripe. Even when we were resuming, you were very critical of this from certain clubs in our area, weren't you? You know,
yeah, but I think it's the way you publicise it. It's like anything in life. You can get away with certain things, but if you shout about them, you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah, true. Very true. Ben has said Marine weren't allowed to swap shirts with Spurs after, but Villa and Liverpool players did. It's another interesting point. I didn't see that, but that's very, very true.
It's that Marine sweat would have definitely carried COVID because they were non-league.
Yeah. Dean Cooper, a Celtic player, is now tested positive and 15 are isolating. And Sherman now saying the Celtic have been on holiday all season. That's harsh. True.
That's true.
But harsh. True. Jordan, no consistency from the government has always been the problem, and then it's now filtering down into football and everyday life. Yeah, and I think that could be a source of frustration for a lot of non-league clubs who are abiding by the rules. Set it, we set everything. I say we as a community set up everything so that when you come to a ground, when you come to a place that can watch football, there are so many things in place to make sure that these kind of things don't happen. And then when you see the professional game just pick and choose which rules they do and don't want to follow, it's a bit. It's a bit of a slap in the face, really, isn't it? When we're being stopped and they're allowed to continue.
Yeah, it's not even a fact that non-league should resume on it. It should be, well, if that's how they're going to behave, then professional sport should probably be stopped as well.
Yeah,
but it's the fact that it's a business and it pumps money into the economy. Government are probably more interested in it. Genuinely.
This comment, waiting for a bus with blacked out windows. It's just no common sense, is there? And Dean Cooper,
in the middle of a pandemic, you couldn't make up anything more stupid, could you?
Yeah. It's okay for them to do social media, but just bloody behave yourself, says Dean. Alex, suggestion here. If we do a circuit break, I hope Sky show reruns of Masters Football and Dream Team. Dream Team was amazing. I loved that program. And Masters Football, they need to bring that back in some way, shape, or form, because that was just absolutely genius. That was absolutely
Dream Team the thing that Danny Potter was in from Stowmarket. Wasn't he in that?
I don't know. It's Harchester United, wasn't it?
I'm sure Danny Potter was in that.
I'm sure someone will tell us in the comment section. Shem, I still wear my Harchester shirt, Alex. Oh, Shem, put a picture of that on Twitter later on and I'll give that a retweet. That deserves a retweet. That is absolutely brilliant. Love that. Sean Dyche saying footballers should be fast-tracked for the vaccine last week. Football needs a reality check.
No. Yeah, you can't.
What's your opinion on this, Adam? What's your opinion on this? Because I guarantee we're going to have opposite thoughts on this.
Oh, you can't fast-track footballers. Absolutely not. There's so many other people in this world that need that done before footballers do.
So Sean Dyche's argument was the amount of tests that people are having to do just to be able to get a game of football on, those tests can be spent providing it to other people.
Well, if that money could be better spent elsewhere, then take them away from footballers and put them into a better cause. Footballers are not near the top of a pile.
No, but like I said, his argument was if you stop if you don't have to be testing these people on a regular basis, those tests can be then used elsewhere. If you then just give those people the vaccine, boom, they're done. That was his argument.
That isn't how it works, though. My wife's had it, and you still have to be tested. That's the thing. It's the understanding behind it. And if clubs start paying for healthcare over and beyond, you're taking vaccine out of the general supply and then creating health poverty for people that don't have that access. Yeah. I completely don't agree with it.
Yeah. That's fair comment. Stephen says on there, if you dock Premier League clubs 3 points for cancelled fixtures, the clubs would make the players behave. It's a fair shout. Paul agrees on that one. Also checked out Mendy of Man City met a girl online and took her to his dentist in Leeds.
What?
That's mental. Got Fletch 11 on the back. Oh, yes, absolutely. Suffolk Masters went back to normal. We need to make that happen. Dyche is a silly man for suggesting this. And apparently we need to check out TikTok Harchester on there. A lot of fan. Love it. Absolutely love it. So that was the one bit of news on there. Keep your thoughts on that coming in the comment section if you want to get involved with that. But we do have one piece of news to bring you from our world of football, and that is to talk about step 3 and step 4, Adam, and the situation that's going on at the moment. And we had the Southern League bring out a statement this week, which said that the board of pitching in Southern Football League has, together with its fellow Trident leagues, reviewed the implications of the latest government lockdown. The matter was also discussed at length by the FA's Alliance Committee in order to reach a decision that would apply across step 3 and 4 in the National League system, and which is informed by the views of all clubs. Clubs will shortly be asked by the FA to provide views on whether the 2020-21 season should be terminated, and if not, what the alternative should be. And this will take the form of a short survey. Independent of the survey, all 3 of the Trident League's boards hold the view that the season should be ceased immediately and be declared null and void. They go on to say that in the meantime, the league is postponing all fixtures up to and including Saturday, the 6th of March, since there is no suggestion that the national lockdown will be lifted prior to said date, and the league will continue to provide its club members with updates as and when we're available to do so. And as of talking about that, our guest tonight, Adam, is from Needham Market. You will have seen it advertised throughout the week, and I'm delighted to be able to bring Robert Peace into the studio now. Needham Market's Football Club Operations and Academy Director and Chairman of Suffolk County Schools FA. How are you doing, sir? You all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm very well. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So I want to get your immediate reaction to that statement that came out the other day. Obviously, the league making their intentions very clear. They want null and void. They don't want the season to continue, which I think, logically we can all say, even the people in the comments can say that it's not going to finish this season. But null and void, that's the option they want. For you, I'm not asking you what Needham think, but what do you personally think about that?
Personally, I don't want it null and void. We're 7 games in, and I'd like those games to be acknowledged. The danger is that a precedent was set last season, null and void, and reading that, the ambition probably is for it to be null and void again. And that's a great shame. We haven't received the email yet regarding our views on the survey,
Right.
But football club, we would look to try and get some form of football, whether that be a restructure, play each team once if there's enough weeks. But the word you come down to is uncertainty. We don't know when football will be back. The priority is people's safety. That's always the biggest priority. Players, staff, spectators. But if the DCMS and the FA and the government deem it fit for football to return, we would want to do that as a football club, and me as an individual, I'd want football to return. Are there imaginative new formats that could be done? The pause button being pushed for argument's sake, and this season games going into next season. I don't know, but to have null and void on the history books for 2 seasons will be a great shame.
I think that's the thing for me, because I've been thinking about this a lot over the past couple of weeks. I just can't see how we're going to benefit next season by starting over completely from fresh again, because you mentioned that word uncertainty, and whilst we have that, I don't know, there's just no, when we don't know when the season is going to be able to kick off again. We don't know whether or not next season's cups are going to be able to be played. There's just so much going on at the moment. How we can start again from zero, in my mind, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, where do you kind of sit on that? What would be your ideal situation if you were in control of it? What would you want to put forward?
Well, gladly, I'm not in control of it. I think that's a very tough decision for the FA League committee, and it's easy for me to sit here and give my opinion, but I'm not the one making the decision. I would like the hard work that's been put in for the start of this season, both on and off the pitch, by all clubs, all teams, to be acknowledged in some format, so that to go into next season, maybe the problem is, even when I say play each team once, and Stephen from Ipswich Wanderers was on a couple of weeks ago and put a good argument for that, and I agree with that argument. But the problem is, there may not be enough weeks to even get that in. So, can those games be put into next season? Because the demographics of football, when you talked earlier about footballers getting the vaccine, well, non-league footballers on the whole are quite low down on when they're getting the vaccine. So there's no certainty that this will be resolved for young men in the summer, going into the autumn for next season. So I think there needs to be a plan for the 21-22 season, and whether that incorporates, as I said, the games that we have, because we haven't played many. I mean, us as Needham, for the first team, we've played 7 league games.
Yeah.
And you say, James, with the ambition to get cup competitions played next season as well, maybe that's an option. And when us as a management committee at Needham will discuss it, we may put that proposal forward. But certainly it's to get some football going. But my worry is null and void has already been muted, and a lot of teams will probably opt for that, because it's probably the minority that will want something to come from this season. The teams that are towards the top of the tables, there may be teams who are mid-table and bottom of the table that will be, let's call it quits, null and void, and go again 21-22 season.
Yeah. So as far as you mentioned there when you started talking, the club haven't received the options of what is supposed to be on this list from the leagues at this moment, because I know they only posted their statement. Was it Friday? It might have been Thursday. I can't remember when they posted the statement. It was quite late in the week.
We hadn't done as lunchtime today, so whether we'll see this afternoon, but no. Okay,
so we still don't know what options there are potentially that the clubs can go by. I mean, no. Adam, you were talking before the show kind of started. Do you think it's probably going to just be a null and void or not null and void as the options that are on there? Because realistically, the options that we're kind of putting forward, do you think that any league or any FA will kind of go, actually, let's do that?
I'm not sure if the thing is, points per game doesn't hold up this season at all, because not enough of it has been played. But the thing is, you say you give options. So if you say null and void or not null and void, what's the not option? What is that? What does it look like? Because like everyone's saying, and I've spoke about it myself, like where the perfect thing would be that across 2 seasons, we've practically got enough games to make one season. But last season was null and void. It's gone. We won't get it back. So I really don't know like what the perfect option is. I can only see them saying like there's been such a small percentage of games like actually completed in what was proposed to be a competitive season that the only option is to void it. And I do wonder if, rather than tendering the decision out to clubs, whether or not that just needs to be made at a higher level and the decision made for the good of the actual game and to keep some integrity as well. Because for every time you send these votes out, you always cast a doubt over certain clubs saying, oh, of course they'll want to avoid it because they're in a relegation fight, and it just doesn't feel or look nice. I worry about the integrity of competition just degrading over seasons. You've got teams in leagues that have been around the same place consistently now for 2 years. Like they need to move either up or down and actually get in amongst playing with new peers that offer them new challenges, and give them the ability to play at the right level, really. But I can't really see what option there is out of it. But everyone's in a difficult situation. I mean, the thing that I'd probably say to you, Robert, and I don't know if I missed it, my computer crashed, which is weird. Is do we think the planning that went on before the season could have acknowledged and could have set us up better for something like this happening? We knew COVID wasn't going away.
Yeah, there's certainly an argument that level of probability that this season was going to be affected by COVID. No one knew in what manner, and the second strain of of COVID has affected us. We were playing, and certainly in the southeast and in Suffolk, we had games of football going on. Whether there should have been a plan, probably going into it. But as I said, it's easy for me to say that. No one's got a crystal ball, and everyone loves hindsight. So the FA League Committee have got a tough order to work out what's going to happen. And I do agree with your point, Adam, that last season, as much as people may not agree with it being null and voided, a line has been drawn under it, in my opinion. I don't go with the argument that we should look to go back into that and combine the two, because I think the FA have been there, they've done that, they've made their conclusion on that season. We now need to look at this year and how that goes forward.
So, that was one of the points we had in the comments here. Sidekick saying points per game combined with last season. Is that not for you? That doesn't work.
I just think that the line's been drawn, in my opinion. I don't disagree with the concept of it, but I mean, it's a non-starter really in terms of the FA. They've got to backtrack on decisions that have already been made. So,
yeah. Sidekick brings up something else a bit further down, which is worth mentioning in the same breath, really. The women's game at what is classed as the non-elite level. I know Freya has posted a bit about this because I've been following along as well. Some suggestions going around deciding draws and games on a coin toss and drawing of lots. Are we at risk if the league's being decided by the most ridiculous of methods because null and void isn't seen as an option because they want to get the restructure done?
You've got to keep the value of the leagues, haven't you? You've got to keep the value of the competitions, of individual games, of teams, of clubs, of the competitions. So for me, coin tosses is, what are we talking about? It's
unbelievable, isn't it? That it's even being used.
Yeah, and I appreciate there's a restructure going on, but we're all in football for the right reasons, and a lot of hard work goes on off the pitch to make it happen. So you've got to keep the value of football going.
Yeah, Alex has put on here, reading the statement, it seems the decision has already been made. Do you think then that,
I agree with that.
because there's only going to be a certain type of club and a certain club is in a position that is going to want this season to continue. There's going to be a bunch of teams in the middle that we talked about previously that just don't care. There's going to be a bunch of teams at the bottom that want it null and void, and you're going to have the teams at the top who want it to continue. So you've got basically 2/3 of the league saying no, 1/3 maybe saying, yeah, let's crack on. Let's really give this a go. That the null and void option practically is going to happen. Do you think that they're wanting to kind of get this done and sorted now so that it gives them then enough time to sort out, the restructure of the leagues, rather than having a very small time frame to do it? They've then got quite a few months to then sit down and really try and sort this out, because I don't know a huge amount about the restructure. I don't know what's going to be involved in it. But it does seem, as Alex says, that the decision has pretty much already been made. We can come up with different alternatives, but
yeah,
it doesn't. What other options? Where do we sit?
Certainly, reading the statement, it looks like that, and I agree with Alex's point. Do they want to do it early because of uncertainty? We're looking at, they've said the 6th of March, haven't they? So then there's a 2-week turnaround to get football back up and running. So get training started and then games. Then you're looking at the tail end of March, start of April. Our scheduled games go to mid-May. So they're probably looking at it as a complete non-starter. And one of the points that was well raised from the Mulbarton lads last week was, look at if you do null and void the season, let clubs do localized tournaments and things and do fundraisers, etc. On a pitch, because that's one thing that's been hit massively. Obviously, the hospitality side of football, the fundraising. There are some clubs that haven't had income, off the pitch for a long time now. So I don't think anyone wants to see the 21-22 season to have a detrimental effect, but it's just what do we do in between.
Can I ask a question quite sort of following on from that, just really linked to Needham? This season has been one of quite a lot of highs already for Needham on the pitch.
Yeah.
Great performances from the first team, obviously winning the cup as well. But also the reserves have had a good season so far as well, really. Has it been difficult to really get in the mood and enjoy every single moment, maybe as much as you would any other season? Because there's this current, always got this undercurrent of what's going to happen tomorrow because of something, because of an outside factor. And that I've felt like we've always had this hanging over our heads so far, that we just don't know if football will still be on tomorrow. Has it allowed you to enjoy, savour and cherish those moments just as much as you would normally at the club?
Me as an individual, I mean, it's a stressful time, and other clubs will tell you it's for the people that are working behind the scenes. And my role, I took on the role as COVID officer, is making sure that everything is correct and running for games. So the preparation for games has never been more stressful than what it was before football stopped. And that's the same for other clubs. You want to get things right. You want to adhere to the rules. You're going through guidelines under the full understanding that they may change in 48 hours. I suppose for the spectators and for the players, and certainly for the players, they're still getting football matches. So my role is to take away from all the COVID and everything, so they concentrate on what happens on the pitch. And again, spectators, make it safe for them. Obviously, there is an element of risk coming to games, as much as clubs minimise it. And we've been up to away games, first team and reserves, and other clubs have done very good jobs with their COVID procedures, as we have. But it does add stress to it. It doesn't enhance the enjoyment of it, I will say that. But there have been highs. Us winning the Premier Cup. It's the third time in our history that we've won the Premier Cup, and greatly satisfied with that. So there have been highs, but I think it is exhausting, and other clubs and club officials will vouch for that.
With the the COVID officer role it's one that makes me laugh in a way. I think back, when would you ever dream that you'd need some sort of virus officer role within a football club? But now it's just a staple part of the club. Like, how testing has that been, taking that on? And have you taken a lot away from it that will sort of stick with you as such going forward into any other roles you'll do?
It's everyone was learning on their feet, as you said. I'm not an expert. I'm academy director here. I'm a team by trade. I'm good at reading big and lengthy documents and then trying to put that into practice. But I'm not medically trained. That's my wife. So everyone is thinking on their feet. You've got the local authority asking you questions. How are you doing this? How are you doing that? And there's an element that they've got to be understanding that our facility isn't built for COVID. When you're reading the guidelines and everything, you've got to try and adjust and, table service. And all of a sudden, volunteers are becoming waiters and waitresses. And, there's track and trace. There's hand sanitizers all over the place. Yeah. It is thinking on your feet. And it's one of them that the volunteers that help me out have also had to be thinking on their feet, and whether that's been specific cases during a game or individual circumstances. And I suppose the word is it is exhausting, because it's new. It's not just rocking up to a football match on a Saturday afternoon at 1:30, and then your hard work has been done and you can enjoy a football match. A lot of this season, I'm at the ground at 11:30 in preparation for a 3:00 game, getting stuff done, and the enjoyment or the viewing of the game, not is spoiled, but you're tired at the end of it. But
I understand it takes away from it a bit, because you're probably your mind's elsewhere, I should imagine.
But that's the same with everyone. Everyone in football has done the same from step 7 to step 3 with us. Everyone's priority is try to keep people safe and get football matches going. And that's been what we've wanted to do. Fundamentally, let's get football matches going on. And we will have logistical nightmares, but we'll get round them. We had Ipswich Wanderers play our reserves on the 3G. Half an hour after kick-off, the first team were playing Leiston in the FA Trophy. We were in a privileged position that we've got multiple sets of changing rooms. The first team, both sets in the old building. Leiston had both sets in the new building. I had Ipswich Wanderers getting changed in the lounge area, and I had our reserves getting changed in the classrooms upstairs. But we got 2 games of football going on.
Yep.
So that's where we are as a club. We want to get football matches being played.
I think Suffolk as a whole, like a good proportion of clubs were able to play some form of games whilst all these restrictions, everything to there. Like most clubs have shown that they can adapt to these measures. And by no means, no one that's sitting here listening to this is going to think that when we go back to playing football, we're going to forget about them all. And you're not going to have hand sanitizer everywhere, and you're not going to check in. Those things are all still going to be there. But it's good to know that we've evidenced as a majority population that we can do it safely and can enjoy the sport when it is okay to go ahead. Just understandably right now, it's not. But we know that we can move with the times and make those things happen. And it's probably something to be proud of, how quickly we did adapt as a community and how amazing it was that as spectators, we were able to go and enjoy games because other people behind the scenes had put the hours in to make that work. Is something to be grateful for, I think, as well.
Yeah. But it was amazing how people, going on your point, how people just automatically got their phones as they approached the turnstile because they know they'd have to do check-in. It becomes second nature. We were only doing it for a few weeks, and hand sanitizer pumps are all around the place, as I said, and people use them. And if we can be more hygienic as that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, definitely. We've got Sidekick for Sports who says track and trace is hard, and so is self-isolating as people have tested positive with no symptoms. Stephen, obviously, who we had on from Ipswich Wanderers a couple of weeks back, it's been very frustrating and stressful for any club officials this year, hence why null and void is so offensive to all of our efforts.
Good point. Very strong point.
Yeah.
What do you take away from it?
Yeah. From your perspective, Robert, what can you take away from the past couple of seasons? Because, as I said, especially for this one, with both teams going quite well, in terms of their league positions and whatnot, if it does become, declared null and void, what really can you take away from the season?
Well, Kevin took over the role before the first lockdown, six odd games in before that. And I think the start of this season, seven games, 5 wins, 2 draws, being unbeaten shows that we can compete. And as a club, our ambition is to go into step 2. So the important thing is to keep the squad, as you can imagine, the morale is high within the squad and the group of lads that we have. So keep them. Kev's obviously got knowledge of the players in his squad to go forward. And really it's to try and kick on. Let's make the assumption it is null and void and we start from scratch for the 21-22 season. It's really just keeping that momentum, which will be terribly difficult with the length of time we've had off.
Yeah.
And for the reserves, I mean that's fundamentally our academy team. I feel for our academy lads who are for the academy is further education for 16 to 19-year-olds, and they've had, our second years have had 2 years where their football has been really affected, and we haven't mentioned like the under-18s league, the third line and under-18s. We're 2 league games in to that, so there's some lads that under-18s football playing against their peers is that opportunity where they really kick on. They haven't had that opportunity, whether that be League or County Cups or FA Youth Cup, etc. So that's a great shame for them. But again, they would have had a taste, and I will say that they've had a taste this season of men and senior football, and then them to kick on. So there are things obviously to take. We know we're competitive in the reserves. We have been for a few years now with our young lads, with the recruitment into the academy, and certainly with the first team. We're joint top with Colville on goal difference. So I know it's only 7 games in. A lot could have happened in the remainder of the season, but we're a team in good form. We just need to reignite that when we restart.
I suppose first team recruitment is something for the club to equally be proud of. Picked up a couple of great signings in the summer that have proven to be tremendous additions for the club as the season's gone on. You spoke about goal difference there a bit as well. It really has sort of worked well, and everyone's fitted together surprisingly well despite difficult conditions, which again is probably something that the club are really happy with, I should imagine. Yeah,
so huge credit to Kev Horlock and his team with Mano and Tom Roffery. It's just a feel-good place at the moment. Kevin is my academy manager, works full-time for the club and first team manager, so he sees the academy lads and see which ones that can progress into the first team. But the recruitment that he's done outside of the academy, like Folksy up front that you're alluding to with the goal difference. From Norwich, what a player he is, and it is
2 leagues as well, and then performing in that way is
really something. And everyone wants a goal scorer, and he gets goals. So it's one of them that there's a feel good. Kevin brings that with his personality. He's ex Premier League, ex international footballer and coach. Knows his stuff, but has a great personality. The lads want to play for him, and I think that shows on the pitch. And a really good atmosphere in the squad, and long may that continue.
Yeah. So just had Dean Cooper's comment. He said on here, I believe it should be null and void as it was in the previous season to maintain fairness. If we start a new season in September, when hopefully we're in a position to complete a season fully. Shem's comments on here, even if we restarted this season's league campaign in September and we played cup competitions in March and April. So that's potentially an option. With doing that's actually something I haven't really thought about, actually doing the cups towards the end of this season and then restarting this season's in September. It might be a bit of a
I think that my personal opinion is you won't see the FA wanting to have anything penciled in before August with these decisions. I think that they're probably fully aware of the impact that the stop-start nature on clubs, and it's very difficult for non-league clubs to just set up and play a game of football. Like when you're thinking about organising volunteers, like the cost base of just paying out to do things just sporadically, it could be tough. I can't personally see us just making arrangements for anything until we know for a prolonged period it will be safe. And I think until we can get to a point like we had over the summer where numbers of things that were being reported, like without wanting to be really grim, like the death numbers were comparatively low over the summer, very low compared to what's being reported these days. But until we get back to numbers in those ranges, I hate to speak of people as just numbers, but until you get to that sort of range, it's not going to be deemed safe for any of that stuff to be, anything to get going again, because they're not going to want to risk everyone mixing out in large numbers and potentially causing everything to escalate again.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about obviously the bigger picture that's going on at Needham Market. Let's move away from what's going on in terms of potential of this season. Your role at the club, just for those who are unaware, what is obviously I know you're in a full-time capacity there at Needham. So what is your main role at the club? How much are you involved in the day-to-day running of everything? Just explain a little bit to people who are unaware.
Yeah, so there are two roles to my club really. So academy director, we, as I said earlier, so the easiest way we're a college. We have the classrooms at the facility here at Bloomfield's Needham Market Football Club. We have classrooms. So we have 60 to 70 students, 16 to 19 that complete their further education. So I'm in effect head teacher there. I have a coaching team, which is headed up by Kevin Horlock, and he's the academy manager. Then I have James Mant, who's our reserve team manager. He's one of my academy coaches, and Aaron Hall. And I have two teachers also and a medical team.
Wow.
So my day to day is overseeing that. I oversee as what any head teacher or principal would do in a college, ensure the education is correct and the football provision is right. So I oversee all of that. And then as operations director for the club, I look at and I'm responsible for all the football provision. So
right,
I brought in the junior setup. So we've got Eastern Junior Alliance teams and Junior Premier League teams that compete on a Saturday. And I brought in the women's provision, and Freya, who you've brought up a couple of times. Freya is my women and girls development manager. And she also does marketing for the academy. So I oversee all the provision within the club. And then I look at the funding opportunities. So we've got the 3G here at Needham now, and the hub building, the new building in between the first team pitch and the 3G. And my role is to bring in all the funding for that. So we've invested 1.2 million on facilities. And I brought in, we brought in as a club just shy of 800,000 to help fund that. So
how much of an operation was that? Because we've all, I would imagine a lot of people in the chat have seen the facilities. Myself and Adam have.
Yeah, absolutely incredible.
They are amazing. They really, really are. So, what was the kind of driving force behind getting that done? And kind of how much went into it?
So it was. I've been at Needham 5 years now, and it was something that was talked about when I first started. So the academy lads trained on what was an unmaintained, uninvested second pitch. So come November, when the rain started, the lads would come off there knee high in mud, and it would become unplayable. So then the lads had to go to Witten, and it was something that that was talked about quite early on in my tenure here at Needham, to explore the option first and foremost of a 3G. And we knew it was an option. There was the need for it in mid Suffolk to have a 3G facility. And then the option was, do we go down the first team pitch like Sudbury have done, or do we put it on the reserve team pitch and have a grass pitch also? And then we looked at a phase 2 of expanding the facilities and having a wow factor building. And that changed a couple of times over the plan. So a lot of my job was for 2 years behind the scenes, doing all the paperwork, getting the funding until the first spade was put in the ground to start development of the 3G. So then we did the 3G at the cost of £800,000. And then phase 2 was to build the building in the middle, which we wanted it to be a wow building, which I think we've got, with a balcony on 3 sides and a community cafe, etc. So and we were fortunate with applications of that. We won the Build Base National Award and got £50,000 towards building materials, and was presented at Wembley. So one of my previous students there. It is a big thing. It is a big thing, and I'm very conscious when I talk to individuals, talk to clubs, and come on here today that other clubs can do that. And then I'm saying I'm full time. It is a it is a lot of effort, and it does take a lot of time, but the benefits are huge, and it's greatly improved our club. It's allowed us to have the provision that I talked about with the junior football, with the women's football. We've got disability football. We're looking at introduce walking football at some stage when we can kick a football again.
That's my cup of tea.
Yeah. It's hugely benefit, and we released a 10-year vision at the start of 2020, which will include the improvements. We never stand still. We never want to stand still. We never rest on our laurels, and we're not. My chief exec Graham Emerson and chairman Keith Nunn won't allow me to sit back and enjoy what we've got. It's on to the next project, and what can we do? And we've just got funding. We've just got £20,000 for floodlights. We're just waiting for them to come, and we'll get new floodlights. And there's plenty for me to be doing, improving the facilities for the next 9 years. So
I saw the floodlight sort of grant that came through, I think, from the FA, that saw that go up. Is that going to be quite a big change to the main pitch in terms of quality of lighting and stuff like that?
So what I'd say, Adam, is that the lighting that we got is very good. It's just that they're old and they're coming to their natural end of their life. The inner workings of them, the wiring all needs to be upgraded and improved upon, and then replacement of bulbs to make them more efficient, and that's coming to the cost of about 29,000. So
like the cost of when you get going.
Yeah, it is, and lots of clubs, and one of the things that you've talked about previously on this show is ground grading, etc. People maybe don't appreciate how much it costs. Floodlights is one element of what you need to do in a ground. Yes, it's a big one, but that's not even starting from scratch. That's keep maintaining the columns and everything. That's just rewiring them and changing bulbs.
I'm just going to bring up a comment that we just had on here from Stephen. 3G is great for development football and for training, but not as much for first team football.
Does your decision to not change the main pitch to 3G link in with that at all?
So there are different factors. Of course, I'm a traditionalist as much as anyone, and I suppose it's personal preference, isn't it? There are some people that prefer grass. There are some people that prefer 3G. It is personal preference. I think we made the right choice in maintaining our main pitch as a grass pitch. I think the management team, the players would all agree with that. One of the things that we are exploring, the option was in our 10-year vision, is a hybrid pitch, which is new technology, and with technology, it's expensive at the moment, and that cost will hopefully come down. But you're still looking at like £250,000, and that's plastic inserts into the pitch. But what the new hybrid pitches allow you to do is to have 2 hours of football on the pitch every day, no matter the weather. So that straight away means that we can have a 2 hour, or we can have 2 hours of training on there a night. We can have a game on there a night, and we don't need to be worried about the weather, whether it's rain, sleet, whatever it may be. And because the problem with the grass pitch is that our under-18s play on their midweek, the first team play on their midweek, and on a Saturday the reserves play on their midweek. It only takes a couple of days of rain, and the pitch is buggered.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think Haverhill have actually invested in that, or are in the process of investing into a hybrid pitch. So I think that'll be very interesting to see that. I mean, that's top tier technology in terms of, like, when I was young, you'd be lucky to go on one of the old sandpaper style AstroTurfs for a kickabout, let alone a 3G. And now we're talking about hybrid pitches actually becoming a reality. I mean, it's unbelievable. Obviously, there's a huge cost to them, but it does seem like more and more clubs are seeing this benefit. Obviously, Newmarket have got their 3G pitches. That's their main pitch, and they rent that out to, I think, Cambridge use that pitch for their academy stuff, which obviously is good for the club and their income. But are you seeing other clubs come to you for advice in terms of any sort of modelling in terms of what they can do similar to what you're doing?
Yeah, so some clubs come and ask for advice, and I'd always welcome that. A lot has gone on, and people can ask for that. And I'd always say Suffolk FA are a great help. I would say that Jodie and her team in the football development side are really good at helping out clubs. And that funding, I've said big numbers this evening, the 3G, etc. But it doesn't be that big. The smaller projects the Football Foundation are there for. And also, if you are looking at the bigger projects, consultants, people make, people's jobs are to help consult in these applications, and they've got vastly experienced knowledge in that area and know what boxes to tick to get that. So I'd always recommend that. But there's always help there. But I'd always say my phone is always on. People can contact me and ask, and I've given that information out, and hopefully it helps clubs, and it will help clubs in the future.
It's really good to hear. Can I ask a question relating to your job for the schools FA?
Yeah.
I know it's skipping a little bit, but just something that's on my mind. As part of the talent ID protocols that the FA have in place for scouting and different bits and pieces like that, one of the core bits on there is junior football social skills. It's one of the 4 pillars that they use. Do you think that with everything that's happened and the lack of contact people have had, England's actual football development program at a very junior level could be quite highly impacted by limited social networking in a physical sense, and also a limited ability to carry out team-based activities which develop other skills which are absolutely core to the game?
Yeah, I think it goes much deeper than that, Adam. Truth be told, as I said, I'm a teacher by trade, and students up and down the country doing homeschooling. It's going to benefit some. It's going to have a detrimental effect to others. Social interaction, where they're having the same social interaction us three are having now over a computer, which isn't the same as being face to face. So yes, I think it will have an effect. I'm hoping that it is short-lived, and that we're back to football. I mean, in terms of Suffolk schools' stance was very much, we were one of the counties that were pushing for football to continue. There are other big counties, neighbouring counties, that withdrew their representative teams, and I very much was pushing for representative football to continue. Obviously, this lockdown has stopped that, but the benefits that football and sport and interaction and has is great. So it's a very good question, and I hope, Adam, it doesn't have a detrimental effect. Certainly not a long detrimental effect to the children.
I mean, I certainly don't want to take away from what teachers are trying to do, and I think they're under the most horrific of pressures at the moment. I really feel for teachers with what they're having to deal with, and how they're having to try and deliver the same content in the best possible way and keep engagement really high. And football's just one element of that, and obviously through the academy and teaching through that way, it's just something that's been crossing my mind this week as I've been thinking about this show. And there are core elements there that are just, you can't teach them. You have to be together with one another. They're very organic things that happen just by being with people and in the company of people. And I think that's going to be really tough for us. And it's probably a challenge that football may face for a couple of years when we're getting back up and running. And people probably have to discover their confidence a bit, I guess, at a young age. And being with people constantly, that's not as much of a problem as it is when you're suddenly thrown back into things again, because characters will change and people will be a bit older. It's very tough. And for me, that's something at youth football that does really concern me.
Yeah, and then it's the strength of the family network, and when we're back in, the coaches and putting up the correct environment, and more than ever, youth football has got to have that focus on fun and not winning at all costs. It has to just get people playing football. That's what we want.
We need that.
Just play football and have fun doing it. Have enjoyment, the health benefits, the mental health benefits. Get that. I mean, within the academy and the football club, we're setting up a partnership with a 12th man, which is a big thing. And myself and some of my staff are mental health first aiders. It's such a big thing. And you make reference, Adam, to your question with children, but adults. I mean, there are people. We're social animals, and people involved in football are social animals. And all of a sudden, we're having to live at home and just have interactions with the wife and kids, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but
good save.
Now and again, so.
Because I suppose from your perspective, obviously with the role that you're doing, before the tighter restrictions then were put into place, you were still having to operate from the youth levels, because obviously kids were still able to, to be able to play. So I suppose that probably gave you a bit of a focus as well, that although the adult side of things was coming to a bit of a pause, there were still other aspects of your job that you could continue with doing.
Yeah, but then, James, they brought in the rule that you couldn't go from county to county. So whether that be a manager, player, it made youth football just not practical to be done. So if you're a team a club that lives on the border, let's say Sudbury or Haverhill or Kirkley and Pakefield, you couldn't have someone cross the border from Norfolk, Essex, wherever to come and play for you, whether that's the manager or the players, and that was for training as well. So right. And then that got quashed, so that made it difficult. But for a short term, youth football was on the cards and was able to be played, and I think there was the ambition from everyone to get youth football. But the minute that schools start shutting, rightly so, football follows suit and starts shutting down.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned there was something that's going on with the academy at the moment. You said you wanted to talk about that as well whilst you were on tonight. So what was it about what was it you wanted to come on as mention?
So it's just the perception of academies. Sometimes it's an interesting debate, and I've been on other platforms talking about it, and sometimes there's just a lack of knowledge, and I mean that in a respectful way, of what we are, because fundamentally we are a football club, and I'm talking about Needham Market Football Club, and then we have this academy, and what does it mean? So we're in partnership with Suffolk New College, and we have students in, and they do their football. So we work hard on looking at young talent in Suffolk and Essex and Norfolk, and just give them the option, really, if they want to be involved in our football platform, do their education with us, represent the club. And, I haven't touched on like our college provision, with the Association of Colleges, the AOC League, and the English Schools FA national competition, all of that. We haven't played one game of that. So our students haven't played one game because of COVID restrictions. Our students have represented the club through the under-18s and through the reserves, but some players haven't, because we haven't had the college football provision. So it's working in partnerships with other clubs. And we've set up a new website. Freya, I've got to give Freya Louis her dues here, and thank you, James, for putting this on. Freya's has built a new website that has been released, needhammarketacademy.com. And on there, we've got an information event on the Monday, the 25th of January, in the evening, if people want to come on board and just have a little bit more understanding of what we do, and whether that's an option for them to complete their further education. As you can see on the website there, it's got a big apply now button at the front. So it was just that, really, letting people know what we're about, and the development is to try and go through the system, go from under-18s, reserves, into the first team, And Callum Page has got to have and Noah Collard are really doing well in our first team as 18-year-olds, come through the academy system, and both are being looked at by professional clubs, and Callum has scored lots of goals and is very much a beacon, and players that are regulars in that first team of ours have come through the academy in previous years. Jake Dye, Kieran Morphew, Adam Mills, etc. So it's very much the motivation. If they're good enough, they'll get into the first team.
Yeah, definitely. Very impressive, says Shems on here. Rob Peace equals a legend. He could sell you a Mercedes, couldn't he? Good work at Needham. Keep it up. I suppose this is the thing. It's not just because we're often guilty of it on this show, just talking about the first team, but it's about having that wider, that bigger picture, and it goes all the way down to the lowest levels and in terms of the lower age groups, etc. Because they're fundamentally what is going to be the backbone of the club for a long time moving forward. Because some players will come, some players will go. But that having that youth set up is quite an important thing, isn't it? Especially for a local club in this area.
Yeah, hugely. The one thing I'd always say is just build an infrastructure. Clubs are very quick to say they want to get promoted and want to go on to high levels. Build an infrastructure. We've been at step 3 4 years now. This may be our 5th season. Build the infrastructure to get promoted. So you can't cherry pick when you get promoted. But what you've got to do is you've got to try and build an infrastructure that if you do get promoted, it's a great platform to compete at that level. There are many non-league clubs that have had money and maybe haven't used that as effectively as they could have done, an investment, and are now suffering because of it. Build that infrastructure, and that starts with a youth setup and prioritizing a youth setup, because that is the future of your first team tomorrow.
The club within that plan, we're talking about that infrastructure, and you've also spoken about a 10-year plan earlier on. Is there a level where the club would like to achieve within a set time target? That's quite a loose question, I appreciate, but you've obviously got all the sustainability of the academy there and the history of promoting the players within to know that you're getting that quality and can push people on. Do you know where you want to take the club to in the next few years?
So the immediate step is step 2. I suppose an answer to that question, Adam, is the problem is where we are geographically and who gets relegated. You don't know whether you're going to go into Conference North or Conference South.
Yeah.
Now,
Lowestoft all those years ago, Christ above.
Into Conference North. Now, truth be told, there's going to be very long journeys whether you're in the south or the north. We live near the coast of the country, which means that you're going to have to travel potentially across to the other side of the country for an away game. So it will be tough, whatever. Now, the problem with that, it's great going up, and our ambition is to go up. But then you've got to, as I say, build the infrastructure, and it will need new stands. It will need a big financial increase in facilities and players and the budget, etc. Because then that line between what's your priority is your employment outside of football, and then football, that becomes a bit blurred there. That if people are asking to go away on a Tuesday, having to travel 4 or 5 hours to go, 6 hours to go to a Tuesday night game, that's most of Tuesday off and the majority of Wednesday. So it's going to be, it would be tough. So it would need a big financial injection, and it would also need improvement on facilities, because we are built for step 3, and step 2 is another grade up in ground grading. So and then once we've got all that established, Adam, I'll come back on here and say we want to get into conference football.
Interesting,
Football League. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Yeah, to Kings Lynn. Those chunks become bigger, don't they?
Yeah, we compete against very big clubs in our level in Step 3. So we're competing against big boys, and as I said, we're joint top at the moment. But like your piece earlier at the start about like non-league, when you see non-league clubs and like Dion Dublin's commentary about the goalkeeper caught the ball and then all of a sudden, well, he can catch a ball. Well, he's a half decent keeper. So it's important to have that. But there are cases where they've done it. I was born in Burton upon Trent, and Burton Albion were always a conference team. And then all of a sudden they had a bit of a cash injection, and then they got into the Football League, and then the players went from semi-pro to pro. More locally, there's clubs like Braintree who, I know they're on a bit of a downward spiral at the moment, but they've been up there and they've done well. So there are, it's not beyond imagination that a club like Needham can do things well. And that's the one thing I'd say about Needham, is that we've got a lot of good people. A lot of hard work goes on behind the scenes, and we are very ambitious. I'm proud to be on, obviously, to be on the committee, and my other committee members. We're all really good people, and we all strive and driving each other forward to make Needham the best club it can be.
Definitely. Guys, I'm going to give you 5 minutes. If you want to get any questions in for Robert, just put them into the comment section and we'll try and get some read out. I've got a couple on here for you. Dean says, Rob, is there any real standout players coming through at the moment, ones to watch? Are there any that you've seen without trying to give too much away? Are you prepared to answer the question?
What a question that is.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one because I've been getting a world of grief from the lads when if I single out. I mean, look, there are players, the ones that I said about Callum Page and Noah getting into the first team. I suppose the one bit that I look, I take great pride in watching lads get into the first team and making their debut, and then establishing themselves in the first team. So from that, I can say like people like Kai Fletcher, who is a striker. A second year, he's broken into the first team and dipped his toe into first team appearances. So Kai's someone that would look at, Ben Harris, etc. But these are people that who are current second years, so they're 17 to 18 years of age, and they're breaking into our first team. And Tommy Northwood at right back. I do apologise on records to any of the lads that I missed out there. I will be getting back. I suppose the drawback of us not having the reserve games is that they haven't had that opportunity as young people to really go on and push themselves and develop themselves. And that's what it's about. They're playing reserves, playing Step 6 in the Furlough None North, playing against men. The last game we played was we beat Downham 2-1.
Yeah.
What a fantastic result. Before then, we played Ipswich Wanderers, and we know, credit to Ipswich Wanderers, the squad they've got, but we've got 16 to 19-year-olds playing against them that will benefit them for their development, that will then go on to become, hopefully, first-team players. So it's just, I just wish that they'd had a greater opportunity and length to find their feet. And that will come again. That will come again hopefully in September, that they will be able to do that. And Kev will have a look at them again in friendlies, or whatever football looks like in the next few months. That Kev, if it's not competitive, if it's not league format, then that maybe gives our academy students a greater opportunity to be looked at in a first team setting with the first team lads. So
I really hope that locally there can be something, like if it's something that we can be involved in with helping or whatever, something independent to whatever FA set up with cups and stuff like that. If we can get back to playing football, I hope that independently we can arrange something that gives people the opportunity to play football. And the logistics around it are enormous, and people may or may not want to be involved in that. But I think, like you say, for young people that are breaking through, for people that might be towards the end of their careers and stuff like that, people might just want to get out and just play. And hopefully we can give that opportunity to people in some way across the county if people do want to play.
Yeah, I think it's important.
Sorry.
Listen, anyone that knows me knows that my job is on the other side of the white line. Is not on the no. If it's safe to do football and the authorities deem it fit to do so, but the leagues say it can't, the league campaign is null and void. But there is the opportunity to play football in some format, and it's safe to do so. I completely agree with you, Adam. I think a Suffolk-based competition that was talked about, around the Christmas period. That's something that if we can get started again would be good, because people want to come and, football's so important to communities. I look at the demographics of Needham. I don't live in Needham, but I know obviously the audiences that come, and it's just important. It's from the volunteers, from the spectators. It's some people's purpose to get up and look forward to a Saturday afternoon and be part of something, and that's really important.
Yeah, we've had this question from Wolf Tone. I'm not really sure. This is not my area of expertise, but he said, "If there is there not an adverse effect on pushing away talented youth footballers from the club who want to do traditional A levels rather than sports BTECs, etc.?" First of all, what does he mean, kind of by that, and then how do you? What's your answer to
it? So the meaning of the question is that we offer BTEC qualifications. We don't offer levels. So if a student wants to go and do the A-level route, their opportunity at Needham is minimalised, as it were.
Right.
I think the answer to that is yes. There's plenty of other football provision they could get. We're not in an opportunity to offer A-levels. We just offer BTEC sport, and because of the high calibre of students and cohorts that the number of students that we have, it's difficult for someone outside of that to get into our respected squads that represent the academy. But there, it's a difficult one, that, because if they come back round and then they're of a very good talent, and they want to push themselves at the highest level, Needham may be an option. But certainly in the last few years, it has been just our academy students, and they're the ones that are being coached every day by my academy team, including the first team manager, Kevin Horlock, and they're the ones that break into the first team.
Definitely. I'm going to ask the question. What's Kevin like to work with?
Fun, never boring. It's never boring. My job is to try and keep him on the straight and narrow, which sometimes is harder job than it is. But all joking aside, Kevin is hugely experienced. He loves the club. He was here previously, and then I got him back, and he was Colchester United under-23s manager when he left them to come back to us, for his full-time role. And he loves the club. He's hugely ambitious, both on the academy side and the first team wise. He wants to get promoted. He wants all the academy lads to strive. We want to make professional footballers, and it is a joy. It is a joy to be with him. And all of my team, really. We work in football full time. What could be better? It sometimes has its difficult days, but we work in football full time, and that's not a bad gig to be in. The lads love Kev. What I said about the first team lads loving to play under Kev is replicated with the academy students. So
yeah. So was his experience of being at Colchester kind of fundamental to bringing him in? Because obviously I know you said he's been involved in the club beforehand, but his background in youth and then what the club wants to do and the bigger picture of the plan that Needham have, it seems like he was the ideal fit to come in and be the main person that everyone sees, but behind the scenes, he's got a bigger picture about where the club is going.
Yeah. So the long-winded answer to that one is that when I first started 5 years ago, Kevin was involved, and Kevin set up the academy. The academy's been going almost 10 years now. So Kevin and Danny Laws set up the academy. So he was doing it for a long time while this was at the tail end of his playing career while he was playing for Needham.
Yeah.
He lived at Kent at the time, and he'd come to me when I first started a couple of months in and said, look, I can't go to Kent and Needham every day, etc., etc. So he left. He managed at an adult level then, and then he moved back to Colchester and took the Colchester job, and then was within their youth setup, and then become under 23s manager. Part of that is the Malden manager.
Yes,
he was managing Malden and Tiptree. And Steve Foley left his role within the academy, and I just wanted to see if Kev would come back. And I continued my good relationship with Kev in that time that he left the club. And I asked him if he'd come back. He said yes, and he's back. So, and at that time, Richard Wilkins was still first team manager. So it was just the academy. It was being reserve team manager and academy manager, doing that role full time. And then we decided to make a change with the first team. And obviously the logical step would be to give Kev the job, which we did. And Kev now, so that pathway from the academy and all the youth setup, so all the Eastern Junior Alliance, JPL into our academy and people from outside into the academy, Kev works with them. And then that pathway is very clear to get into the first team. So it was a very natural fit and one that has worked. I had every confidence that it would work, and I'm pleased to say that it has done to this point, and long may that continue.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Adam, any follow-up questions from you?
No, I'd just like to say it's been an absolute pleasure having you on again, talking very broadly about football and actually getting someone from Needham on the show as well as another club covered by the show. 21 weeks in and we still haven't done Needham, despite you're literally the highest position locally. So it seems like it's long overdue. But yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic. Like, listen to what you've got to say and your enthusiasm for what Needham are doing and their enthusiasm for many aspects of development. I think it's quite inspiring for a lot of people.
You've been getting a lot of love in the comments tonight, a lot of positive comments, and you seem to be the shining light of non-league football in terms of this is what you should be as Psychic says, are a massive inspiration.
Thank you for that.
To all clubs. So you've done well. Great place to be involved with someone like Rob in charge. Positive, exciting, creative, motivated, and invested in passion to the club. Well done, mate. And keep up the good work, Rob from Psychic for Sports. But really appreciate you coming on. Thanks for your time this evening. It's been a really good chat.
Yeah, no, thank you guys, and credit to you both on the work you're doing to represent Suffolk football. So on behalf of all clubs, and I thank you for what you're doing.
Appreciate that, mate. Appreciate that. Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate your time, mate.
No worries. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Take care. Adam, let's round up tonight's show by doing the Super Six, shall we? And then we'll draw things to a close. A good week for people. You mentioned on Twitter that we had some double points for the first time in a long while. So just
I really fell off the chair when I got some tens in the bag. 15 points possible, and a couple of people scored 10.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of announcements. So someone from the show has kindly donated a bottle of Jack Daniels.
Nice.
That is going to be the prize for the winner in January. I think we might have 5 game weeks though in January. I haven't quite worked it out. I've done the table for 4, but I think there might be 5. I need to double check it.
Well, it'll be 3, 4. Yeah, there will be 5. There will be 5.
5 weeks of hard slog are going to be needed to win the Jack Daniels. So coinciding nicely with the end of dry January, so you can all celebrate in style. If anyone has got through dry January, if you're trying to do it with everything that's gone on, you probably need a second bottle anyway. But yeah, we had some great results and good participation numbers again. So competition is hotting up. Do you want to bring up?
Should I bring the weekly one and then we'll do the overall table?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the result of week 2 in January. So you can see there Jamie with 10 points. So I guess obviously he was one of them. Who was the other person that's had 10 and not on this list?
I don't know who it was. I don't think they got anything in week 1. They got 10 in week 2.
Right. Okay. Right.
I think they're just off the chart. Let me have a quick look. I'll try and find them.
Okay. So at the moment, Spreads is leading. Shane with 15, Tom O'Leary with 14, Jamie on 13, along with Connor Ellis. Alex is on the list as well. A lot of our regulars are on this list, but it looks like we've had, as I said, people had a good week. Shane with 9, Spreads with 8. We've got 7s from Ben, Barry, and Tom. So it's been a good week overall, but Spreads is leading the way with 16 points. Consistency from Spreads there, I suppose, is a key word. Consistency.
I think consistency has been the key to his performance in general. The other 10 was from Rob Linnett, who didn't enter last week, so just falls foul of the top 10 that I've got on here. Genuinely, this is wide open because there's a few people on 10 points as well.
You see, guys, if you enter in every single week, you've got a chance of winning this thing. We've had one person here who's entered week 2 who's got 10 points. He only had to have an average week and he'd be right up there.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Still anyone's to win. Love it. So that is that's the updated table for January. Here is the overall picture then. Yes, I'm in the top 20. Get in.
Finally, you actually beat me this week.
Get in.
But Jamie Sunderland is this week's big winner. He's skipped forward so many places, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think he was one of the ones that got the 10? And I think it's just massively changed the rankings. Yeah, he got 10 and he's skipped about 14 places on the rankings. So it literally, with this, where we are at the minute, we seem to be scoring better. Now we're back to pro football. George Ablett came on Twitter last night saying that people should listen to his advice, but he only scored 3 points this week. So if he does give you any tips, don't follow them. I will shout that one out. But no, so some really, really good results. Irvin, you are on my sheet, but you are just outside the top 60 at the moment. You don't do it that often, so I'm not quite sure where you are.
Yeah.
There you are. You are 71st, Irvin. Right. Since you asked.
There you go.
Yeah, good performances. People are pushing up the table. George is better at betting.
I'm just chuffed I'm in the top 20 now. My aim of the top 15 is still in sight. I'm still going for it. Spreads is leading the way. There's a bit of a gap now, actually, between first and second. It's developing quite nicely.
2 8 in a row are going to sort things out, really, aren't they? Like that's going to take a couple of weeks to sort of get catching up. But people are performing. That top sort of 5 is anyone's. It just keeps shuffling about every single week.
Yeah.
Alex had a poorer week this week, and Tommy jumped up again. So bet safely, by the way. That's the thing.
The good thing about this, there's no monetary value involved for any of you guys, and I think that's why all of you lot love it, because there's no gamble. There's no gamble. So this week's Super Six, I'm going to put the fixtures up on the screen now, and I will post the link for this week's Super Six into the comment section now. So if you're on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, the link will be now appearing for you. We've got Cardiff versus Norwich, Burton versus Ipswich, Peterborough versus MK Dons, Colchester versus Cambridge. So 2 fairly local derbies in there. Grimsby versus Southend, and we've got Slough versus Braintree, because I think the Kings Lynn game has been postponed from what I can see. So I've had to go for another local-ish team in there. Adam, give me a bold prediction from those 6 games. What are you saying? For just pick one. Just pick one. But what team or result are you going to go for?
Burton 3, Ipswich 1.
Oh, Christ. Mental.
I take you saw that. Did you watch them play against Swindon?
I saw about maybe 15, 20 minutes of it, and they were god awful.
Absolutely hilariously crap.
Yeah, shocking. Absolutely shocking.
Yeah, I think they'll get hammered again. I think morale is at an all-time low. Like Wolfenden done an interview at full time, and genuinely, I thought he'd either been crying or was on the brink of crying, and having to be managed by that clown. I think I probably would be too. Yeah. But genuinely looking at some of these fixtures, I am going to struggle this week with putting in sensible predictions. Peterborough, MK Dons, and Slough Braintree, I'm not really sure what I will go with. Grimsby keep cropping up on here for some reason as well. Yeah,
they just seem to be playing a low. There you go. Pitch inspection at Slough on Friday. It's bound to happen. We're bound to have one postponement in there. It can't all go plain sailing. I don't know if it's a bold prediction, but I'm going to go with Peterborough. Oh, you know what? MK Dons are actually a pretty decent side. They've been improving a lot this season, week by week.
They're still not a real club, are they?
Well, no, they're not. Alex has already done his. I absolutely love that. The moment the link is posted, people get on it straight away.
Redemption week for Alex.
I am. I don't know. My bold prediction. Stuart's already got his in. Absolutely love that. Yes, I'm big points in this time, but something fishy going on. That's just shocking, shame. Shocking. Every week, Grimsby got Paul Hurst in charge. Jesus Christ,
Did you not know that?
No, I think I did hear it.
Grimsby. Second bottom versus bottom thriller. I did not know that. That's horrific. But Southend keep winning, don't they?
In that case, then I'm going to go with Southend to win 3-1. There's my bold prediction.
Oh.
There you go. I've said it. I'll tell you what. To round things off, shall we talk about Ipswich?
Why not? I'm sure that what I'll do is I'll watch the viewers drop off. Now we talk about Ipswich. Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's round up a show by having a quick powwow about Ipswich. If you want to get your thoughts on Ipswich in the comment section, then feel free to do so. Adam, do you want to kick things off as you're an Ipswich Town fan? What have you got to say on current matters?
Well, it's not good, is it? At Portman Road, it really isn't.
It depends on what side of the argument you're coming on. Quite frankly, hilarious.
Well, this is it. Like the thing is, they're at such a point now. I don't know if there's no reality of who they could get in to replace him, because no one that goes there is going to have funds. It's the most unattractive proposition. No funds, quite a bloated squad, a ton of contracts up for renewal. A ton of contracts up for renewal at the end of the season or being ended. So an absolute clear out needed. And really, you need to get promoted. Otherwise, the fans are going to absolutely have you back. That is like the most disgusting combination I can think of.
You're not getting promoted.
No, but that's what all the fans think should be happening, because they're a big club, aren't they? That's the thing. The thing is, there's been quite a few people say about Ipswich living in the past and stuff, and it's a long, long time ago since anything really exciting happened at the club in terms of success. Like those Premier League years are 20 years ago now, and that's really sad. But it's taken 20 years to fall this low. I think it'll take more than 20 to go back up that high again.
Alex, yes, I do miss the easy 3 points. They were. You know, it was always nice just to have a derby game in the back pocket, just to know you're always going to get those on the board. No, I'm only joking. Look, from my perspective, obviously everyone knows my allegiances. So let's just get this. Let's just get these points out, right? You've got an owner who has now incurred what is it, £100 million worth of debt was the last figure that is owed to him, right? You don't own the stadium. The training ground hasn't been improved on in a long time. You've got an aging out of contract squad, and you've got a manager who has now caused so much division between the fans that once you've reached that point, you can't return. You can't return. The damage has been done with Paul Lambert. And, I thought actually when he came in, I thought things were going to start turning around for Ipswich because the way he kind of got a load of fans on side and the way that he was still trying to build up the club, I thought he was actually going to do okay. But the problem is it all stems from the owner who, quite frankly, doesn't care. That's the problem you've got at Ipswich Town at the moment. And, his perfect manager was Mick McCarthy, because Mick McCarthy, as much as, things turned sour at the end, he just kind of got on with the job. He found the signings that would get you from A to B. It wasn't glamorous. There was nothing exciting about it, but he got the results and he got the job done. Mick McCarthy was his perfect manager. And I think now he's scrambling for a way to try and get Ipswich back into the Championship. But to be honest, he probably doesn't want to be in the Championship anymore, because the amount of money that he was hemorrhaging in the Championship compared to what he's now hemorrhaging out, there's no contrast between them. He's in
a wage cap and stuff like that, though. That team's going nowhere
he's in a financially better position by Ipswich being in League One. So unless you're going to have somebody coming in to say, right, I will buy the club off you, then things aren't going to change, because it doesn't matter who you have in charge of the squad, and unless something happens at the top, the investment into the squad, which is desperately needed, can't be done. Now, can you get a coach in that can tactically get more out of his squad? Yeah, probably you can.
They need to get a physio in that can get more out of the squad to start with.
True.
We've had 3 years of injury problems. I don't know when the last time was that we actually had a right back that could play consistently in a right back position that suited them. Honestly, the whole team is just, we've been running for about 15 years by putting square pegs in round holes, whilst expecting, at one point, the joke was that we wanted to go to the Premier League. And just imagine those heady days when we played you in that playoff final. Honestly, it's just, even if we got promoted to the Championship, the investment that would be required in that squad to make it compete with some of those teams, you'd end up coming straight back down again. It's painful to see. It genuinely is painful to see. But
you know what you mentioned about this, Alex? The fans aren't going to be there, because the next generation of fans are not coming through. They're not
already. That's going already, and the goodwill is going as well.
Yeah. Attendances have been dropping, season tickets have been dropping. The fans, the younger fan group, are not there, because younger fans nowadays, unless your parents can persuade you or take you to a game, the younger kids nowadays support Man Cities, they support Arsenal, they support Man United, the teams on FIFA with the biggest star ratings. That's the clubs that they go and follow. They want the shirts with Pogba on the back and all that kind of stuff like that. Younger fan groups, unless, as I said, they are taken by their parents. And if you are a parent, realistically, are you going to take anybody to Portman Road? Why would you want to go and watch that football? It's not good football. So what exactly is it that brings somebody to the ground? And I think that's the biggest problem that you're going to have moving forward with Ipswich, is that there's just not really any future.
Every 7-year-old kid wants a shirt with Skuse on the
back. Jay Douglas, lol.
Be quiet. The thing is, the principle of this and why it's worth discussing is that it's flipping terrible for Suffolk football.
Yeah,
it's absolutely, that's the crux of this, is why it's actually worth talking about. Is we're covering off Suffolk football, but it's awful, because the first team is what it is, but it will drift down and filter down to the players they can recruit into the academies and everything else. That feeling is broader than just the first team, and the longer it goes on, honestly, yeah, that's a really good point, because I think it'd be absolutely horrific atmosphere in there. The longer it goes on, the more it affects Suffolk football. Yeah, it would. I mean, there's going to be 8,000 people really booing at full time. Like younger fans attending non-league clubs more, for example, Bury. Yeah, 100%. That's a good fit. That's a good thing for Suffolk football, I guess.
It benefits us at non-league football with Ipswich doing poorly. You know, you saw it at Stowmarket with the attendances increasing throughout the season. So because we spoke to them, didn't we, Adam? How many times did you speak to somebody at a Stowmarket game where they go, do you know what? I've had enough of watching Ipswich. I actually want to come to a game and enjoy myself.
Yeah.
It happens at every club around our level. So the more people stop going to watch Ipswich, the better it will be for our level of football, because they'll actually come into a football and into a community that will accept them and really, really look after them and take care of them. And that's what non-league football's about.
The economics, though, and
they will embrace those fans.
The economics, though, and the development of local football that sits behind that in terms of on the field rather than off the field is going to suffer massively. Like hugely. Like that's not going to be quickly repairable, I shouldn't imagine. Oh, Jason. Oh dear. Funny.
Do you know what? If you put their bank balances on a piece of paper, he's probably not wrong.
Well,
he's not wrong.
Isn't that because Ipswich are in debt to the tune of 100 million or something silly?
Exactly.
It is. Norwich
Dean, wake up. Dean, wake up. You're having a dream. You're having a dream, Dean.
Definitely. Like, I'm consigned to Ipswich just being one of these teams that are just stuck in the mud for a lot of years now, and Norwich being a yo-yo club, which I've spoken to you about before, James. You took some offence to me saying that, but I do think that's what will happen.
No, it probably is. It probably is a reality of where Norwich are at the moment, but I'm right with that.
I think more people in Suffolk will then support Norwich over time, because they will get the odd big name come in and stuff like that, and people will drift away from Ipswich, because I won't go and watch Ipswich. And so I don't think like Finley will be a devout Ipswich fan as he grows up. He's got his first Ipswich kit, which he got for Christmas, but he's not going to be massively interested in Ipswich, because I've completely got off it. The reason I was hugely into Ipswich is because my dad always took me, because he was into it. And as that starts to fade away, the kids will find somewhere else.
Yeah. And hopefully they find non-league football. And that's where we're going to round things up. Guys, really appreciate everybody who's been involved in the comment section tonight. It's been really good in the comments tonight. And that is, I said, just a massive thank you. Massive thank you. It's been really, really good. So if you've enjoyed the video, as I said, make sure you hit the thumbs up from a YouTube perspective. Remember to subscribe to the channel. The growth on the channel recently has been absolutely amazing. So really, really do appreciate every one of you who has subscribed. Remember, it's so easy. You just need a Gmail account. Go onto the DJAM YouTube channel and click subscribe. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. It just helps the channel boost up as well. Again, if you're watching it from a Twitter perspective, retweet it, Facebook, share it, all that kind of stuff. We will see you guys next Monday for another non-league show. Thank you very much again to everyone involved in the comments. But until next time, as always on the show, adios.